Hi, my name is Teresa Miller and I'm a Principal Technologist with Cohesity. Today we're going to take a look at SiteContinuity as a service with failover from VMware vSphere on-prem into the cloud. What we're looking at here is our SiteContinuity dashboard where I can get a great overview of the overall health of the replication workloads in my environment. So I can see when things are healthy and when they're not. The other thing that I get in this dashboard is if I am running other Cohesity workloads, I have the scope selector here in the upper right-hand corner, and I can access any of my other clusters or Cohesity workloads, even my Data Protect as a service. So back to SiteContinuity, let's go ahead and configure an application to fail over to my cloud workloads. And in my case, I'm going to be going ahead and failing over to AWS EC2. So the first thing we need to do is create a data pool. Now, a data pool can be simple, but it can also be complex, and you can also have multiple data pools. What you're going to do is when you create a data pool, you're going to group servers together. So you may group Active Directory and DNS together, have those come online before any other critical applications. So let's click Create Data Pool. I'm going to go ahead and give my data pool a name and click Create. Now I'm going to go ahead and put this together a lot like a puzzle. You can see the puzzle pieces here on the left. And in my example, we're going to focus on an application that has a web front end, a database, and an application server. Now, the first thing we need to do is choose our site. So I'm going to choose San Jose, and we get our SC demo cluster. Now I'm going to go ahead and add my 3 data sets. I am going to break apart all 3 servers because I'm going to need some startup delays, which we'll get to in a little bit. But so first of all, our first data set, let me database. Then we're going to do application. And then we're going to do web front end. And from here, we need to add our data source. So this is the location that these servers live in today. So basically, they're all in a vSphere environment that I have deployed on-prem. Now I need to go ahead and choose my objects. So the first object I'm going to choose is here. That's our database server. Now we're going to go ahead and choose our application server. And our third server is going to be our web front end. There it is. And once that is all set, we're going to go ahead and click Create. All right, so we now have our data pool and it's time to do some DR planning. So this is a more detailed view on what has been set up in each environment. So Cohesity US East 2 failback is ready. Miami is still replicating, and San Jose has a mixture of some replication occurring and a couple others where failover's ready and teardown is ready. We're going to go ahead and create our own plan. And here is where we set up that true failover. So we have our primary site, and we're going to go ahead and start by adding our data pool. That's what we just created. And that gives me my data set that we also just set up. So the first thing I want to do is add some time delays to these data sets. So I want the database server to load first, and then we're going to delay the application server by 5 minutes. And the web front end, we're going to go ahead and delay by 7. The other thing that we're going to want to do is add a protection profile, because once this is all set up and running, basically there's a protection job that's going to make sure that the servers are being protected so that you have the latest information. Now I could do an RPO of 24 hours. I'm going to go ahead and reduce this to 4. Next, I need to add a DR site. So by way of DR site, I'm going to go ahead and add a target. And in this case, I want to use my AWS region. And I'm going to go ahead and choose my Cohesity US East 2. And this is also just a delineator within AWS. Now, we also need to create a resource profile for the AWS side of things. So I'm going to go ahead and do TM resource profile. And by way of what we're going to choose here, our VPC and subnet, as well as our security group. And at this point, we're not doing any additional scripting, so we don't need our VM credentials. And we can go ahead and click Save. And then we can go ahead and click Create. You could activate later if you wanted to double check some things. You could also do Activate Now if you're certain this is ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and Activate Now. So when I do the Activate Now, what happens is I get this replication process that starts. So, and typically that takes a good 30 minutes or so. So what I did was set up a plan so that you could see how the failover would work. So in this case, the failover is ready, and we're going to go ahead and do a test failover. I'm not ready to do a production failover. I just want to test it, which is important. You should be testing your failovers. And you can also choose your recovery point. For every snapshot taken, you would get more to choose from in this list. I'm going to go ahead and leave my recovery point, and I'm going to go ahead and do a test failover. So now you can see that the failover is running, and this is going to take a little bit of time. So there's 2 other things that I want to show you. So the first thing is I want to head over to AWS, and this is also one that was done during a previous successful failover. In this case, I had 1 server failover, and this is how it looks. And then going back to the Cohesity dashboard, once you've initiated a test, when you're ready to tear down that test, you can come in. This one is a tear down is ready, and we could go ahead and click tear down. So you can see with the site continuity option, we have the ability to test, we have the ability to do live failover, and you get insights into your configuration so you know if you're ready to fail over when that time is needed. And this wraps up my demo of SiteContinuity as a service with Cohesity.